Imagine a world where everything you need, from vital medicines to consumer goods, moves with perfect and predictable efficiency. A world where global trade is faster, cheaper, and just as critical, resilient to global disruptions. That vision is no longer in the distant future. It's being built right now through the power of intelligent logistics. To explore the cutting edge of this transformation and to get a front row look at Asia's supply chain future, we're coming to you from ALP Logistic Properties Omega Smart Warehouse Facility in Taiwan. I'm Susan Chow, and you're watching Connected on Taiwan Plus. Our guest today is Mr. Charlie Chang, co-founder and CEO of ALP Logistic Property, ALP, and the driving force behind the Omega Network. Hi, Charlie. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Susan. Thank you.
Before we dive into the specifics of the Omega Network, Charlie, to begin, the Omega Network seems to represent a massive industry shift. Can you tell our audience about the initial vision and what personal motivation led you to decide to transform logistics? Was there a single core belief or frustration with the old way of logistics that inspired you to change how things were being done?
Oh, yes. I think just when we started about 11 years ago, Taiwan's logistics industry was relatively backwards. So a lot of international clients are asking us, saying, why is Taiwan's logistics industry relatively backwards compared to other nations or other countries? And Taiwan, being a tech island, should be quite advanced. Mm-hmm. So they were telling us about Taiwan has industrial parks, have technology parks, but there was no logistic parks. So that was to us an opportunity to, as a business, to provide a solution that the industry was lacking. But from that point, if we had a chance to restart a logistic industry park, can we do it better in a different way? So that's actually our motivation from the get-go 11 years ago.
I know that you started out as a developer, and then I think the old way of logistic people usually think about real estate. And it sounds like you went beyond just solving a real estate problem to diving into the core inefficiencies elimination. So let's dive into the specific of how you achieved the shift of what we know as horizontal warehouses to what seems to be, from what we can see here on site, a shortened, condensed, and automated vertical supply chain. Why do you think the next generation of logistic infrastructure should move away from human-centric and horizontal to automated, robotic, and vertical?
Okay, I think the opportunity, like we just described, the original infrastructure was human-centric, built for human scale, right? Humans plus forklift plus certain equipments. But as industry shifts, technology advances, automation robotic comes to play. So those dimensions does not fit the original framework of warehousing. So I think our opportunity as a developer comes in, then what kind of dimensions can we build around our infrastructure, our facility? And that thing became the new solution for the industry.
In the logistics industry, we know the labor crisis in APAC is severely impacting particularly the warehouse operations. Okay, how does your built-in automation address this pain point?
Well, I think automation replaces human labor muscles. All this activity within logistics is actually repetitive work, which is actually very fitting for automation and robotics.
An increasing number of companies around the world are automating their warehouses to increase accuracy, efficiency, and productivity. Along with improving worker safety, it allows for better space and inventory management. According to the business research company, the global warehouse automation market has reached over $21 billion in 2024 and is projected to nearly double by 2029, with Asia Pacific the fastest growing region. Look at this. I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, Is this awesome?
Yeah, it is pretty awesome. So what did you say it's called, the ASRS?
Yes, ASRS.
And what does that stand for?
Automated Storage and Retrieval System.
Okay. You know, when we were sitting down, you mentioned the ASRS and the automation in the vertical warehousing. I mean, I thought it sounded very cool, but it was a bit conceptual. But here, I see this physical solution to everything you just mentioned.
Sure.
It is very, very mind-blowing and totally eye-opening.
Right. I think a lot of people, when they see this, the first impression, wow, at this scale.
Yeah.
But actually, it's quite simple in terms of, this is just storage. 80,000 pallet positions.
80,000 pallet positions.
Right.
Okay.
With 33 cranes. So with this scale, we could provide flexibility, agility, speed, accuracy for our clients in this facility.
And I don't see any human.
No.
So when we talked about, human-centric horizontal warehouses, that's sort of what's in our brain as an impression of what logistic warehouses look like.
Right.
And this is completely different.
Right. So like we said, if you actually can take a look at this, this is a 40-meter ASR system that cut through 5 different floors.
It looks incredibly tall.
40 meters.
40 meters.
Right.
Okay.
5 floors.
So you don't want any humans here. It doesn't
No.
sound very safe to have
You
somebody
don't
that
need any
high up.
humans.
Okay.
So the automation and the IT system will dictate where things are placed, how to retrieve it, and deliver back to clients at different floors.
So which means, say for example, if I was a convenience store network, maybe one of my vendors will be working with you as well, and then
Yes.
you'll be able to transport the goods from, the vendor's floor to my floor,
Yes.
which really saves on the cost of
Going
physical
to-
transport.
Right. Even so, you don't need the trucks anymore. But simply for one own client, it's about how you want to store your products and then take it out for delivery purpose. So this
Okay.
aspect of the activities are already done by the machines.
When we're talking about ESG, this sounds like with this digitalization, you cut out on the carbon footprint of transport if everything is within the infrastructure.
Right. So with that concept, the product sits in the same place.
Okay.
It's just the digital ownership of that product shift from client A to client B.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. How many, I assume, brands that are housed in this warehouse here, and are they mostly FMCG or what type of?
No, there's different types.
Okay.
But if actually cut it down to the basic units, there's 80,000 pallets, so relatively you can have 80,000 different types of products.
Okay. So explain to us about the pallets.
Right.
How much does it hold? And are there separate storage units or sections for different types of category? Because I imagine, for example, when I order fresh fish, right?
Right.
So I imagine the delivery of what I order has to be kept at that cold temperature to
Sure.
ensure freshness of the goods. Do you have storage units like this? I guess that's called the cold chain storage.
Yes. So
Okay.
what we are here today is the ambient warehouse.
Okay.
But we also create cold storage warehouses as well as air-conditioned warehouses as well as GDP-grade warehouse. GDP is for medical purpose. So different environment will dictate what kind of product can be put in.
Okay.
So it cannot mix and match different environments. But today, this is the ambient warehouse,
Okay.
right? And so you can see the capacity of these is 80,000 pallet positions with 1 meter by 1.2 meter pallet positions.
Okay.
But like you mentioned, sometimes the client would break it down from pallet to boxes to pieces. And those activity of boxes and pieces will be done at client's own level.
Okay.
And that's how they want to do it. So we would not dictate how they would, sell their stuff, but we allow them to put pallet positions in our warehouse.
And how would the ASRS system know what to retrieve, what to put up? There must be some form of a digital control that
Right.
tells it what to do.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. So all these things, every pallet location is tagged once it's go in. So the machine, the brain of the ALP OS system knows exactly what this product is and where it's placed. So when client wants this product out for delivery, the machine will get it out and then deliver to clients.
I can see how efficient this is. I mean, you can run this warehouse 24 hours a day
Yes.
without stop. So Christmas is never delayed.
No, no. So I think the beauty of this again would be the accuracy is basically 100%, right?
Okay.
Because they cannot pick the wrong pallet position. So the only thing that we need to control is the maintenance of the machines.
Okay.
Make sure it's not broken down,
Okay.
right? Or system shut down.
Or system shutdown.
Right.
And how do you do that? How do you ensure the precision and the continuity of the system?
Right, so there's two different things. Proper maintenance of machines, right? So this is constantly up maintenance that you can do. So these things can last 20, 30 years, no problem. What about system upgrades, right? Cybersecurity,
Cybersecurity is important.
right? So that's why we have a team of engineers and IT systems to maintain these. Make sure nobody hack into the system. Power shortages, make sure there's backup generators to support. So a lot of all those ecosystems, all those supporting systems are in place because we have scale.
Well, that's really important information to know because I was a little bit worried, when we talk about automation, machine, human, sometimes it's good to have a blend of hybrid intelligence.
Sure.
So it sounds like it's real estate, technology, and also human maintenance that makes this whole entire thing come to life and
Sure.
ensure its precision and safety.
Right.
Well, that's really wonderful to know. Seeing the ASRS in motion gave us a sense of physical scale. But behind that physical solution is another layer that keeps the entire network running. A digital operating system and command center, which Charlie refers to as Outposts, ALPOS, is the brain behind the body of automated muscles, where real-time visualization of the entire smart logistic infrastructure is controlled. It's here that the digital side of the operation is working 24/7 to resolve the biggest headache in adopting automation, which is integration complexity.
So welcome to our war room.
Oh, what is this? This
What-
is so incredible.
This is in a way done by a summer intern.
Summer intern.
And we gave her an assignment to depict, using 2 months to think about how to represent ALP's culture. And I could see different hands pulling a rubber band that represent the racking system,
I see it.
right? And then on the hands, you could see different departments: marketing, finance, product development, branding, technology teams are all struggling to find that balance. So
Well, and working together, very representative of what we just seen there, but then behind the infrastructure, there's so many efforts being put forth by a collective team.
right, and I think this depicts also the push and pull, the arguments.
Arguments, yes.
Right, but that's actually, those arguments are the ones that create innovation.
You need to have these discussions and opinions and disagreements so you come up with new ideas.
Sure.
You mentioned change for better. I guess this is what you were talking about.
Right, exactly.
Charlie, we just seen the sheer scale of your ASRS system.
Yep.
That incredibly vast and vertical automation. But in the 21st century, physical structure, is nothing without digital brain behind it. So what are we looking at here? Can you tell us what critical function does this digital layer perform for the Omega network?
Well, like I think we discussed earlier, automation is the physical muscle of the activities, but it needs a brain. And that brain would be the IT systems, right?
Okay.
And then besides that, it's just also data and functions. So this is actually just a visual presentation of that thought process. So you can see how many pallet positions are being used currently and the orders that's asked by our clients to deliver. So we could present and push this to our clients. Like how much order was requested today and how much at this point in time we have completed those orders for them.
And this is all real time.
Yes.
And you're able to do analytics and create models of prediction for your clients.
In the future, yes.
Okay.
So even this control center, not just about activities within the warehouse, but what about the ecosystem environment around it? What about doing earthquakes? What about doing typhoons? Is the warehouse safe? Can we push those photos and activity and issues to our clients? So this is more at real-time data transferring of their product within our warehouse, how it's kept safe within different situations.
Okay. And something like this, seems like would take a lot of work, for a client to plug into. So I would imagine that for a supply chain manager coming into a facility such as this with built-in automation, it sounds fantastic. But what would I have to do to be able to plug my warehouse management system into all these hardware that I see here so that it becomes simple for me as a client to make the transition?
Sure, yes, sure. So we have done all the legwork already. So in a way, I think we just need the client's API, and we just link up the API, and we already integrate everything else within our Omega network. So they just need to connect. So something that used to take a couple of months, now in weeks.
Okay.
And they can just move in.
So it's like a plug and play.
Yes.
Okay, so I can literally sign a contract with you, decide to move into this warehouse. I don't have to change anything.
Right.
And you can help me just do this plug and play, and we're in business.
Yes, so clients in even Southeast Asia, where a lot of activities are more robust and very active, dynamic, we have plug and play client moving within 10 days. So that can be very dynamic.
And so what about for your investors? What you described is a very powerful simplification. Sure. So I would imagine that this in-house technology will be viewed very positively by your potential investors. How will we see this to contribute to your company's asset value?
Right, so I think a lot of multinational investors, they're looking to invest for the future. So smart warehousing is the future of logistics industry. So to them, this is quite exciting that they are actually able to get a head start in new investments in smart warehousing. So to them, having just automation, but what about the brain? So the IT systems, the ALP OS systems. So all these things are what we're doing to making the warehouse smart.
Hyper intelligence, real-time data, automated system, and 24 hours efficiency. What better solution?
Yeah, so this is actually an industry level change from our perspective. So, but then how do we make that adaptation from traditional warehousing, modern warehouse, to smart warehousing? So this is, in a way, a lot of education, a lot of sharing, a lot of discussions that need to happen within us and the industry.
When I look at the global geopolitical shifts that's happening right now, that has also created many challenges to the region's business. So how has something, for example, like the China Plus One strategy impacted your clients' demands on supply chain resilience?
I think lately it has been very severe and happened very fast. But like we said, the infrastructure aspect of these kind of supporting systems takes time. So China Plus One, so where is the plus one? Is it in Vietnam, Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore, right? But every country has its regulations and differences. So how can ALP deploy this skill set into every country, adjust its local regulations, local laws, to build the infrastructure that actually these China Plus One operators need?
That's interesting that you mentioned that, because I understand that the Omega network has also expanded into Malaysia and Thailand. Why these markets? You mentioned you're trying to adapt to the different forces and how that's landing. So I'm interested to know, how are you delivering diversification and differentiation in these markets that are different from the traditional local industry?
Okay, exactly back to what we mentioned about a stabilized infrastructure plus consistent automation. So every country, if we can actually deliver those consistencies, the clients are all international. So they get used to one country's operation, they could adjust to another country's operation more consistently, more standardized way of functioning.
So I imagine this infrastructure maybe acts like a blueprint, that you could duplicate to the different markets.
Yes.
So then for investors, what is the competitive moat protecting the long-term asset value of a smart logistic network such as Omega? Right. Is it the land, or is it the inseparable technology provided by a proprietary platform such as Outposts?
Yes, I think like what you mentioned, Susan, I think it's both, right? The physical infrastructure plus the brain within the infrastructure, right? So very much like the smartphone versus the cell phone. Okay. So it's actually a different setup and built within this product.
That visualization we just saw in the Outposts Digital Center was striking for me because it immediately clarified how ALP can transform technological challenges into data-driven services. The Omega business model also shifts costs from CAPEX to OPEX for the client, as I understand. How does strategy, backed by investment partnerships like Cathay Life, Capital Land, and the Malaysian EPF pension fund, justify the investment roadmap for your institutional investors, especially given that ALP employs an asset-light model?
Well, I think these institutional investors love this model in terms of we are building the next generation of infrastructure. So from investors' perspective, this is actually more value preserving because it's actually fitting the new generation of solutions instead of investing in the old standards. So this for them is actually value creation.
Value creation. Yeah, so your pipeline includes multiple megas in Taiwan, Malaysia, and Thailand by 2026, as we mentioned earlier. And how do you ensure this rapid extension and scale up is efficiently executed across diverse regulatory environments?
So as we expand to other countries, Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore, our ability to have the right talent to deploy these technologies and execution steps are critical. And so as we are spreading our thought process, more talents will come and more talents will be able to assist us in executing these strategies.
You know, ESG is now a financial imperative.
Sure.
So how does the Omega design physically support client compliance with net zero emission targets and also enhance the social aspect of ESG?
I think this aspect of Omega is actually our core belief. In terms of for logistics, our ideal is not to build just a better carbon emission materials, but actually create an ecosystem to shorten the supply chain and thus reduce carbon, reduce touch points, reduce costs, reduce risks. So this is actually quite different from the original mindset.
So speaking of risk, the long-term nature of business, I imagine, must anticipate possible market downturns. What is ALP's strategy for de-risking your portfolio against economic shocks, and how does your ownership model help?
Well, I think for logistics purpose, there's actually two major users of logistic facilities, right? One is domestic consumption. Within that country, the people, population usage of these products versus manufacturing. So every country manufactures different stuff. So these two activities are at different cycles. Mm-hmm. So at good economies, people buy more expensive stuff, so that's supported. At downturn economies, people buy cheaper stuff. But those things are still require warehousing. Mm-hmm. So logistics in terms is actually quite stable.
So not too much of a risk as witnessed. No. Okay, and you built a company focused on innovation. How do you foster a corporate culture that's both resilient to change and constantly looking for ways to disrupt the status quo in a traditionally conservative industry?
Well, within a company, we consistently asking ourselves, can we do things better? So our motto is change for better. So how you have done things today, how can we challenge ourselves to be better? And that eagerness to change also help us adapt to the changing environments of the current society.
Change for better.
Yes.
I really like that phrase. You know, it really suggests a very progressive company that's constantly moving and, looking at everything around us, I feel like you're really helping to fast forward the industry. Yes. Looking forward, what is the single most important structural change that ALP is preparing for the future to ensure you remain the logistic market innovator and the domain expert in smart infrastructure?
Thank you. This is actually what we're struggling with in terms of how do we build an organization that can continuously innovate? So how do we attract the right people to shock us, to wow us, to inspire us to do things even different with the new technologies, new mindsets, new ecosystems. So I think this is something that we hope for, that who can replace our own? Who can replace me?
Wow, well, that's very, very progressive
Right.
thought. So last but not least, why is Taiwan, your home market,
Right.
crucial as an incubator space for ALP's global unicorn vision?
Sure. I think that was a perfect fit in terms of being Taiwanese, but the 23 million population is an entire complete ecosystem. So with that smaller market, it's actually a good testing ground. So we would spend $1 billion to make sure the ecosystem works within the country. But with this, once it's proven, we could replicate these at bigger scales in other countries. So this is actually a very fast incubation space for us.
So as you mentioned earlier, creating that blueprint for the other market. Charlie Chang, co-founder and CEO of ALP Logistic Property. Thank you for sharing with us your insights.
Thank you.